why does it exist? And then what early career leaders need in 2026, what the program experience itself will look like, and then finally how to apply, how to get support, and how to join. So our goal is that as you leave this session, you leave knowing whether or not the ACLI is right for you or for someone else that you might know, and exactly what the next steps can be. So let's start together with the bigger picture of why leadership matters so much right now for early career professionals. I'll hand it over to you, Moz.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, we wanted to start with the big picture because early career professionals today are navigating a very, very different world, especially when it comes to work, than previous generations, where things were a little bit more linear, a little bit more straightforward. Once you decided on the direction of your professional development, you could stick to it and step by step continued next levels or steps on the ladder towards leadership position. Well, things are fairly different now, and this is because of how the world is changing around us, how the society is changing. Leadership as a skill is not or does not mean the same thing as it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And the world of work is completely different. For one, the global context that we live in is much more precarious, much more complex, ambiguous. And this informs the way that companies, leaders of companies, organizations approach leadership. What we need today more than ever is being prepared, being able to adapt, knowing how to network, take advantage of our relationships, and such. More so than before, employers rank leadership qualities, like the ones that I just mentioned. And on top of that, collaboration, being able to communicate, navigate global environments as the top skills that they are looking for. And this is related to the very rapid growth of AI, automation, things that show up on newspaper headlines every day. Because we know already, educated predictions estimate that about a third of work hours will be automated by the end of the decade. What it means is that the focus will be shifting towards those skills that AI and automated solutions cannot replicate. And that means human-centric skills, such as empathy, such as collaborating with others, such as judgment, such as leading yourself, teams, organizations through change. And so this is core for the future of work. And on top of that, we also see changes in what young people prefer, how they want to work, and what they are seeking in professional environment, seeking a balance between work, community, growth, and purpose. And what aligns with those goals is also where leadership sits, to be able to find the balance between the three, rather than working just for the sake of work, also finding community and also pursuing a larger goal than the work itself. And this isn't just us, this isn't just researchers, employers are noticing this shift too. So let's look at what they say as to what they are looking for in the younger generation of employees. Research that I mentioned slightly before, and this, for example, includes the World Economic Forum, show that the top capabilities in demand today go far beyond technical skills. Capabilities such as communication, collaboration, motivation, leadership, influence, adaptability, resilience, self-management. So management of yourself as an employee and your goals and tasks and everything around it, as well as analytical thinking and problem solving. These capabilities rank at the very top of qualities that employers look for in early stage employees today. Beyond technical skills that may be related to a specific position or title, these are qualities that are expected. And this means that leadership is no longer a job title that you get as you climb those steps on the professional ladder that you mentioned before. It's a skill set that employers want to see right now. The challenge here, as you may imagine, is that these skills are expected, but they are not always explicitly taught. And this is where many early career professionals like yourself may start to feel a gap. So let's talk for just a second about that gap. As I mentioned, these qualities or capabilities, the human-centered skills, such as leadership, are not systematically taught at most schools or universities. Things like giving feedback, leading across cultures, or navigating conflict. Such skills often come with experience, but you need to first get into your first few positions to really be able to gain these skills and fluency in them. At the same time, leadership and people skills are often assumed to develop on their own, usually through trial and error. But at the same time, if you have limited access to guidance, to mentorship, to that cross-cultural experience that can really spearhead your development of leadership skills, it can become very difficult to build confidence and to feel like you belong in a professional space. There are, of course, also structural barriers that shouldn't be unnamed here, which is high cost of programs, be it in-person or virtual training programs, geographic and visa restrictions that may prevent one from participating in, say, in-person exchange program. The reality is also that many leadership programs today are not designed with global accessibility in mind. And for this and many other reasons, there is this gap, a barrier that we mentioned for early career professionals, especially coming from global majority countries. And if we don't address this gap now, we will see a growing mismatch between the skills that young professionals have and what employers expect from them. The growth of these young leaders or leaders to be stalls, their confidence is lower, the mobility of early career professionals slows. This also has an isolating effect, where we have fewer cross-border connections, mentors, professional relationships, networks than we otherwise could have. And then the overall inequity widens, where the pipeline of diverse leaders or diverse emerging professionals is starting to shrink. While employers want to have talented, diverse folks among their ranks, at the same time, there is a gap preventing the talented people to gain leadership skills that can help them enter positions where those human-centered skills are required. And so why I'm telling you this is because ACLI was created to respond to these needs and barriers. This is our overall goal. So let's now go into what an accessible, global, early career-focused leadership program look like. Let us show you.
So we're introducing the Atlas Core Leadership Institute. It's built around a simple belief, which is that leadership potential exists everywhere. Opportunity often does not. And so with those, we want to bring a global and inclusive space where we bring together emerging professionals from over 80 countries from our alumni space into a shared cohort. So we often can get people from over 20 different countries mingling in the same cohort together. And we want it to be accessible and virtual. So that removes many of the typical barriers around those costs of visas, the location barriers, high travel costs, but at the same time being community powered. So you're not learning just from facilitators like Moz or myself, but there are peers, there are alumni, and a global network that support the learning that you get to receive from experts around the US and other places, directly in leadership practice. And it is practice-based. The focus is on applying what you learn to real projects and real challenges in hands-on application inside the program. So we've designed the ACLI specifically for those early career professionals and leaders who want to grow their leadership without having to wait to be able to be promoted into a formal managerial title or move to a different country in order to get the access of having developmental programs. So how is ACLI different from those other traditional leadership programs? A lot of different leadership offerings are built primarily for mid-career or executive audiences, or they're framed as corporate manager trainings. ACLI is different because of that community-driven space. It's for people who want to become leaders, but don't believe that they have to just have the title in order to pursue those skills. It's also globally accessible, and it's alumni supported. So we have alumni from our previous 80 countries and 5 years of experience coming in as alumni, as mentors to be able to support those growing leaders inside our current cohort on their own path of their career. So we're not just another virtual classroom or another managerial training, but we are creating a space of global belonging where people from very diverse cultures from every continent on the globe, except for Antarctica usually, where you can learn and be with and learn from peers who are also in those spaces. They're your peers in your age and in your career space who are also impact driven. And so it's very ideal for those who are in 0 to 7 years of experience. You're just coming out of training or education and you want to start to gain that experience in the workplace. You're eager and able to grow as leaders and collaborators. So those who value that global community, you want to be able to make those connections with people in different countries and have that cross-cultural learning. And anyone who's looking for confidence, clarity, and impact in their next career steps. So if you hear yourself in any of that description, you're very much in the right place today. So looking towards what the program actually looks like week to week. ACLI is a 12-week program. It combines both structure and flexibility so that you can guide yourself through the assignments and then also be able to have live sessions with experts and guest speakers. Where you can complete the assignments on your own schedule and then come in together as a community to be able to work as a team, have peer coaching, and have one-on-one support calls. And you'll be a part of our global community where we have networking events and continual learning experiences. So you'll join an international community where the goal is to build self-efficacy and resilience together. So believing in your capacity to manage that stress, managing the change that seems to be coming week to week or month to month, interpersonal effectiveness. So having that communication, being able to give feedback and having that collaboration and developing your cross-cultural adaptability. So you'll be able to become friends, colleagues, and peers with people from other countries. And then you get to collectively navigate differences and work across those borders. So everything is designed so that you can practice and apply the skills that you're learning inside the ACLI in real context and not just read about them online. So to make it more concrete, here's what your learning journey would look like over those 12 weeks. So we frame the ACLI around 5 different phases. The questions that you see on the slide are just some of those that we explore together in each of the modules. So in the introduction, in this orientation phase, we get to know each other. Who will I be connecting with? Who will I be learning with? And what kind of a leader do I want to become? And then when you go into the leading self module, this is about self-awareness. How do I build that resilience? How do I manage the stress that's in not just my workplace, but also in the wider context? How do my patterns and my habits shape how I show up as a leader? What values and purpose guide me and my actions? Moving into leading others, we start to work a lot on feedback and teamwork. So how do I handle conflict productively and even possibly transformatively? How do I strengthen the way that I work with my teams? What does ethical and inclusive leadership look like in practice? And then we come into leading across borders. This is going in layers, as you might tell, into how do you effectively communicate across your cultures? How do you handle conflict productively when it's across cultures? And how do you start to adapt to those diverse environments when there might be multiple different experiences of lived backgrounds inside a team together? Then as you go into reflection and graduation, you get to look back on the last 12 weeks, say, how is my leadership skills? How have they grown? How do I talk about my new competencies in a way that employers will understand and then also stand out when you're looking at interviews or performance reviews? And then also one of the important parts is how do I stay connected with all of my colleagues and with the broader ACLI community? Because at the end, you might be quite different internally, and then you also have lived experience, language, and examples that you get to use to describe your growth externally to employers or to others that maybe you're applying for other fellowships, say. So let's look at what you walk away with in concrete terms.
Okay, so upon finishing the ACLI, the 12-week journey, you will of course receive a digital certificate, credentials that you can share whether on LinkedIn, in your CV, with your employer. That is a given. But we also don't generally like to focus on just that as the only output of the program. Because beyond the certificate, you will walk away with a clear leadership identity and voice as a young leader, increased confidence navigating your career and the next steps, a broader, diverse, global professional network. And that network also doesn't end when you finish the program. You continue to be a member of it well beyond your participation in the program. You come out with a stronger teamwork and communication skills, and then a real cross-cultural collaboration experience, which, as we mentioned before, can be quite limited for folks who are not able to participate in an in-person exchange program. And these are all the things that employers are asking for. And after the end of the program, you will be able to demonstrate these skills, these capabilities with specific examples from the program. And if you're wondering, well, does it actually work? We also wanted to look for a moment on our track record and what our former participants had to say. Because the ACLI didn't start from nowhere. For the last 5 years, we have been building and developing a program called Atlas Core Virtual Leadership Institute. Very similar. We are just dropping the virtual right now. We started this program in late 2020. And over those 5 years, we have run 17 cohorts, so 17 groups of people from over 55 countries. We've taken them through this program, and this was more than, I believe, 1,000 of people that joined. 870 scholars graduated. All these people are part of our alumni network today. Through those 5 years, we have partnered with 12 different institutions, governmental, nonprofits, and over 90 projects developed throughout the program by our participants. We were able to support in their home communities. And we're very proud of the Net Promoter Score of over 77. If you're not familiar with the NPS, this basically means that most of our participants are highly likely to recommend the experience to their friends or colleagues. And while the numbers may be encouraging, we're of course very proud of them, the most powerful evidence comes from the participant themselves. So we also wanted to share some of those actual words of our alumni.
Yeah, so here's just a few voices from our Virtual Leadership Institute, which the ACLI builds on. So Marvin from Zambia, he's been great. He comes back as peer mentors once in a while. He's shared that he got skills that gave him the confidence and the prowess to do anything, and that the experience was truly transformative. And we also have Jolly from Vietnam, and she says that it just helped her realize that she's not alone, that there are leaders all over the world working for a better world, ready to support each other within this cohort. And with Marcos from Brazil, he was saying that the program was described as life-changing. He talked about meeting extraordinary people, taking his projects to new levels, new heights, and gaining tools to bring more impact to the action that he's taking in his workplace. So these stories all capture what we really aim for as facilitators with the ACLI, which is that confidence to be able to go out into the world, make a difference, the connection that you get as a cohort together. It really truly is just a different level of camaraderie together as leaders and real world impact. It's being able to take what you learn and then immediately be able to apply it. And the connection just doesn't end there. Once you graduate, it really is the beginning of being a part of a larger community together.
Right, as we mentioned, the global network that you become part of as an ACLI scholar doesn't suddenly disappear once you graduate. When you complete the ACLI, yes, you get your certificate, you have gone through over 100 of hours of professional development, but what we believe is very important and what we really cherish dearly is that you join the Cultural Vistas alumni community. This means that after completion of your program, you get to have access to continued training opportunities, ongoing networking events from folks who perhaps join subsequent cohorts of the ACLI or participate in other programs or maybe participated in Cultural Vistas programs in the past. It's a very, very large network of folks from over 100 countries. And this is then a network of professionals that you can learn from, collaborate with. Something that we're, again, quite proud of is that 90% of alumni from our leadership programs report having built meaningful connections, professional networks while on program. And so one thing that we really want this program to be, the ACLI to be, is to be a launchpad into a lifelong global community, not just a one-off training that you complete in 12 weeks and forget. Of course, if that's what you want to do, you can go ahead. But what we often find is that folks really stay on and take advantage of future opportunities long after their program finishes. So now let's talk about how to apply and what that process looks like.
So here's a quick overview of the application and selection process. So first, you'll complete the online application. They're reviewed on a rolling basis. It takes about 15 minutes to complete, and there are 4 written responses and 2 video questions. So it might take longer if you really like to put in a lot of emphasis in the video questions, but primarily it is about 20 minutes since they're very short video questions, just about 2 minutes or under. So then next, you'll get the selection process, and up to 50 candidates will be selected. those remaining candidates may be placed on a wait list. And acceptance into the ACLI is also the prerequisite for scholarship review. So if you're hoping for financial support, you'll request that within the application. So once you're accepted, you'll receive the instructions for confirmation and payment by a specific date within your email. So if you're awarded a scholarship or a discount, you'll get a special code to use, and then you'll complete the enrollment and onboarding. So you'll log into the e-platform. We use the Canvas learning management system, and you'll start reviewing some of the pre-program resources. You'll complete short assessments, and you'll say hello to your fellow scholars online prior to when we start our first call. So all of these steps are clearly spelled out in our follow-up emails, so you won't have to remember everything on this slide. Of course, a big question that we often get is around costs and scholarships. So let's talk about that. So the standard application, oh, go for it, Maz.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. All right, so if you have signed up for this webinar, it probably means that you have visited the ACLI website before, and you may have stumbled onto the information about the cost of the program. The standard participation fee, as you may know, is $965. And this covers all of the live virtual workshops, self-guided learning modules, the entire curriculum design, facilitation, learning platforms, dedicated participant support, you name it. And we of course understand that for people coming from the global majority countries, this can be cost prohibitive. So we have designed a few methods to bring the cost down for those who need it. First, as part of our commitment to Cultural Vistas alumni, eligible alumni who apply by the end of this month will receive a 45% discount. In addition to this, we have limited needs-based scholarship that can reduce the program fee by 25 to 75% for candidates who would otherwise not be able to join. In the application, it is possible to indicate which level of support you would like to request, and then provide additional information for that scholarship request. If cost or scholarships are on your mind, you are more than welcome to send us an email, ask additional questions, and we will be very happy to facilitate you through that process. Speaking of questions, I do believe we have a couple of minutes to answer some of the questions that you have submitted in the Q&A.
Yes, so in our final few moments, we have 2 questions in the Q&A, and we have one saying, can you elaborate on eligible alumni? Does that mean that alumni from any Cultural Vistas program? Does that make them eligible?
Correct. At least I think so. What we mean by eligible Cultural Vistas alumni, those are folks who have participated previously in the past in a Cultural Vistas program, regardless of which program that was. And of course, to be eligible, you also need to meet other criteria of the program and get into the program itself. Whether the person has completed the Cultural Vistas programs, we verify on the back end or add additional questions. But if the question is more about if there is a specific Cultural Vistas programs to be able to receive this discount, no, all Cultural Vistas alumni are eligible.
Great, thank you. So I'm hearing you mentioned a capstone project. Could you please tell us more?
Right. Well, the capstone project is a project that participants of the ACLI work on in teams. The exact scope or format of the project is completely up to those teams. They decide together at the beginning of the program what project they would like to work on. And one of the reasons we have this practical component is what we mentioned before about real life hands-on application of leadership skills. Because it is one thing to learn about how to lead a team, what are team dynamics like, giving feedback and collaborating in an international team or community, and it's a very different thing to do that in practice. So this capstone project is part of the hands-on experience to be gained throughout the program.
Yeah. And just wanted to mention we are at time, so if you do need to run to your next thing, we'll stay on and answer a few more questions and then we'll wrap. So our next question is, what is the purpose of the video questions?
Very good question. The purpose of the video question is twofold. One, we want to be able to assess the English language fluency of the applicant. We do not require extensive certificates, whether be IELTS or others, but we would like to see in advance what is the level of spoken English so that they can participate fully in virtual sessions. And then another reason for the video questions is that, as you may imagine, there is more and more applications coming through created with the help of AI, and that's totally fine to use the tools available to support your responses. But with the video questions, at least we get to meet the applicant a little bit more. And those are just two short video questions, up to 90 seconds each. So we hope that this isn't too prohibitive from completing the application.
Yeah. And is there only one cohort per year?
We don't know yet. We hope to run 2 cohorts this year. However, we do not have yet dates for a potential second cohort. Right now, we are recruiting for the spring 2026 cohort.
I would say to that person asking, apply for this cohort, and then if there's a chance that you wanted to go into the following cohort, then we have your information and we can let you know about the following cohorts. So we have someone saying, if one is waitlisted, does that apply just for the current session? Would we need to reapply next cohort?
Could you repeat the question? I'm not sure if
If one is waitlisted, how does that apply for just the current session? Would we need to reapply next year, or are you fully waitlisted for the entirety?
That is a fantastic question. If you apply right now and you're waitlisted, meaning you have not received immediately an email saying congratulations, you're in the program, but that you were put on a wait list. This, of course, will apply to the cohort that you applied for right now. However, those folks that are waitlisted, let's say for this upcoming cohort, that are interested to pursuing cohorts that may be organized later, we would get in touch with and ask whether they are still interested. Whether there would be a need to reapply or not, I believe that this is too early to tell, because it also depends whether eligibility criteria change for one reason or another. But it does mean that if you're waitlisted and don't begin the cohort in spring, we would get in touch and ask whether you're interested to participate in subsequent cohorts.
Thank you, Maz. And I'll take this last question. There's a few that are asking about age limits and eligibility. So if I turn 32 during the course of the program, is that all right? All of these questions on age limits, yes, it's I'd call it a soft cap on the age limit. What we're looking for is those people who have 0 to 7 years of experience inside the workplace. That's where we want to help. And so if you are falling a little bit outside of that range, on the higher end, or if you're on the lower end, it's just taking into consideration where you're at in your current life stage. So please go ahead and apply, and we'll take your full scope of your lived experience into consideration in the application. And last question coming in, what time of day and what day of the week do meetings usually take place? So generally, the ones that are hard workshops. We call them leadership labs. Those will take place on Thursdays. And they will be taking place between 1400 and 1600 UTC. That's 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is the questions that we've got for today. So we'll wrap up, and we want to thank you all for your time, for your consideration, and we wish you the best of luck in your applications towards the ACLI.